So now we're going to start into the meat of the program, how real estate can increase your passive income. We were just talking about a passive income. You want it to replace your current income, which is from your J.O.B. Now you hear this in these real estate investment seminars all the time. You can get rid of your J.O.B. Don't do your day job anymore. Use real estate as an investment vehicle to, get more cars and vacation properties and a faster lifestyle and things like that. One thing we have to stress is that it's time in the market, not timing the market. And it takes a lot of time before that passive income can replace anything you're doing.
Yeah, we're going to be honest. We're not going to sit here and say, you know what, you're going to work with us and then quit your day job. I mean, you can go on our crew TV and listen to Nico. Nico works for Suncor. We bought him this house. We bought him that house last year.
Yeah.
And we went into a community that is a spillover community. It's up northwest Calgary. It's actually on this side of center, so it's northeast. And just to quickly clarify for everybody that, and if anyone has any questions, please put it in the chat, or anyone in the room has any questions about anything at all. But I really want to stress this. The Northeast has a stigma about it, right? And the funny thing about the Northeast is about to take off like crazy, okay? And what you need to understand about the Northeast goes all the way from Stony Trail all the way into center. So from center to Deerfoot, for years, we've always known that that's a corridor where people see it's so easy to get downtown, either on center, Edmonton Trail, or Deerfoot. And so it was always priced a little bit above than the Northeast on the east side of Deerfoot, if everybody's following me. So this property that Nico bought, we were shopping in all sorts of communities, great communities, and he wanted a brand new infill. And we just knew if we went and got him, and this is what we're talking about buying correctly, we went and bought him a property in Highwood on the northeast side of Center Street.
Yeah.
And this property just in a year has increased $200,000. And we knew the construction cost for something like that. Construction costs for something like that to build that same product. And Tim, this was going on in Bowness. We were meeting developers 3 years ago in Bowness, building the same house in Altadore or Killarney or South Calgary, the exact same house they were building there for $950,000. 4 years ago, we were picking up for $700,000. The same house, same specs, $700,000 in Bowness, right? So if you follow these trends, you don't even have to become a landlord. All you have to do is pick the right property, move into it, which is the best thing to do, because then you do save on the capital gains tax. It's your primary residence, and you're making 200 grand like Nico has. And talk about passive income. Now, this guy, he travels the world, right? He dabbles in different investments, as we know. What was the last venture? It wasn't sugar. It was
cooking oil.
Cooking oil. He's shipping cooking oil. So he's doing crazy stuff out there, which we love, but his investments have given him this backbone to go and do all of this stuff as well. So we just want to make sure that people understand, by picking that right property is the most crucial part to investing in real estate.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a landlord.
Yeah. So that's the house that he got in Highwood. No, what? Highland Park.
Highland Park.
Highland Park. So you can see that it's very big. He did get that way by owning a number of rental properties and building up his holdings. He didn't go, for the trophy right when he first got his job. Mm-hmm. He got a small condo, and then he got a couple of suite properties and
three
suite properties. Yeah. And his current wife has another condo they're renting out.
Yeah.
And then they moved on to this bigger home. So he did it the right way. He took his time. And like Azad said, he has lots of freedom to do crazy things.
Yeah, and he would just come to our seminars like this, and we worked out a plan for him. And now with all those properties, he's done extremely well for himself.
Yeah, so the number one thing that you can increase your passive income is add a suite to a property. We talked about this a little earlier. What we like to do when we're going out and buying suite properties, so you don't really have to add one, is buy one with an illegal suite and then legalize it over time.
Yeah,
So
just to speak to this
Yeah.
property. So this is Daniel who we were talking about. We bought this property. He didn't even see it. We bought it for him. It's a corner lot. What's going on with corner lots right now in Calgary? If a developer can put 4 or more units on one lot, they can put 5% down. Okay. So by putting 5% down, there's a program that they could use through CMHC. If they're doing that, it's very easy for them to recoup their seed capital and go again. So what's happening with corner lots right now, they're going sight unseen. Like, this is just crazy. Like, we've seen one in Huntington Hills. This one's in Huntington Hills.
Yeah.
And I mean, 900,000 would be closer to downtown. I could definitely tell you where: Westgate, Wildwood, Spruce Cliff. We were just there today. But in Huntington Hills, a property on a corner lot on a very busy street sold last month. Satoshi had it for over 600,000, and that was a record for really a dump of a property. Like, I went in it, and unless you were knocking it down, that was the only way it was worth buying. So if Huntington Hills is already at 600,000 and down closer to SAR-C on the west side is at 900,000, we know those numbers are going to keep trickling up the hill to Nose Hill, and that trend will continue. And that a corner lot property like this one that Daniel got, he actually went ahead. We found a property to suite. And so when we're looking at properties to suite, there's a few key things that you really want to look at. You want to look where the water source is, where the drainage is, where the electrical panel is. Some basement suites can't be suited unless there's tremendous work to be done to those properties, which just blow the budget as well.
Yeah, the mechanical room might be right in the center of the house, and it ruins the floor plan. So if you're building these secondary suites from scratch, you want them to be very attractive because you want to get maximum rents. Daniel bought this one. The basement was developed, but it didn't have a suite in it. So the whole house could rent for $2,500. By putting the suite in, you can get minimum $2,200. This one actually has a garage, so you could probably get $2,600 for the main floor, and the basement minimum $1,400 right now.
Yeah, maybe even more too, because it's new kitchen.
So you're increasing your passive income, your cash flow, by over $1,000 a month just by adding that suite. And the way he added the suite is he did a purchase plus improvements mortgage. So when he bought the house, the mortgage that he got was purchase plus improvements. So he legalized the basement suite, put in the kitchen, and that was added to his mortgage. So he leveraged the money. He only had to pay 5% of that basement development. Yeah, and it was his dad that was coming to our sessions. His dad was doing rent to owns and brought his son for a seminar and changed his life. Daniel's in Cuba right now. We did write that place for him just on the weekend. He didn't get it. But here's a young kid. He owns 3 rental properties, 3 suited properties, drives a nice Audi, and is going on vacation. So can it give you passive income? 100% it can if you follow the correct steps. We'll move on. If anyone has any questions, throw it in the chat. I lost my chat here.
Oh, you lost your chat. If anyone has any questions. Okay, student rentals. Now, we really want to stress on student rentals, and this is why rents are going crazy in Calgary. What happened earlier last year is that there was nowhere for the students to live. I don't know if you've seen the news in the Calgary Herald. There were students living in cars, right? So as soon as something like that happens, the room rate, so if you're renting a room used to go for $500 a room here in Calgary. It went from $500 to $600 to $700 to $1,000. And once a room went to $1,000 or $1,100, that means 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom condos, automatically 2-bedroom condos went to $2,000 per month because 2 rooms add up to $2,000, right? So you really have to understand what's going on with student rentals. And if you can find a home, and there's even half duplexes that you can pick up for $550,000 with 3 bedrooms up, 3 bedrooms down, you could be generating $6,000 rent. And we've got clients doing it, $6,000 rent
on a half duplex.
On a half duplex. Okay. And you can legalize it. And you can, I mean, there's more management with these properties. But if you're making $6,000 a month and you have a couple of these on the go, you know, you could quickly, depending on what job you do, you can quickly get there and replace your income. Yeah,
and we've got a client who has a niche within the student rental niche. He has a couple of duplexes that are near Mount Royal University, 3 bedrooms up, 3 bedrooms down on each side, and he rents specifically to female students. So he never has a vacancy in the rooms in the student rentals because the female students feel more comfortable, sharing that kitchen, living in the same living space if it's a female-only rental. So he found that niche, and it's working very, very well for him.
Yeah.
Another thing with student rentals is they don't necessarily have to be students. In the old days, it would be called rooming houses, and they'd be run down. There's a lot of them in Mission, these old 100-year-old houses, and they were terrible places.
Yeah.
But if you make the rooms attractive, upgrade them a little bit, the ceiling on those rental rates, $1,200-$1,300 a room, it's just phenomenal.
You're in a rooming house when you're going through it and you see every bedroom has a lock on it. Straight away you're in a rooming house. You just have to make sure that they're safe. We would advise you to make it legal. We actually advise all of our clients to make their basement suites legal. We have a team of contractors that do that for our clients. And the reason why we do that, first, for the safety, peace of mind, you can sleep at night. And, as an investor, when it is legal, the banks will calculate both sets of rents for that property because it is legal. And then that will help you move on to your next property quicker. And we also, Tim, have investors that maybe come from their community. They might be Indian, or they might be from Afghan or Pakistan, wherever, and they rent to people within their community, and they're providing, affordable housing that way. We actually have a pastor who does this to basically provide housing for people at the church. So there's all sorts of people you can rent to within your community, and we want to stress that. And Tim and myself, we really, when it comes to basement suites, student rentals, if the safety isn't there, or really, Tim, even if the appeal isn't there, that's why our clients hire us. We don't aim for 80% or 90% occupancy. We aim for 100%. We want people lined up to live in your properties and pay top dollar. And we're choosing properties that will make that happen. And we're not afraid, as Tim said, we're not commission driven, we're results driven. We're not afraid to say, yeah, we're not buying that one, we'll pass.
Yeah, and one thing we have to caution about student rentals is the management piece to it. If you're managing it yourself, it takes a little bit more time than just a regular rental. There's going to be a little bit more turnover. Students may stay 1 year, they may stay 8 months. You just have to be prepared to take on that management yourself and hold them to a higher standard of cleanliness, because when you have 5, 6, 7 people living in the same house, there's going to be more wear and tear. So you have to hold them to a higher cleanliness standard. Otherwise, you're going to see the property run down very, very quickly.
Yeah, here's
that'll
one.
affect your rent.
This is a great example of this property here.
We did a tour of that.
Yeah, this is a student rental. We took a whole bunch of our investors through it. And unfortunately, the common areas in this property, they're just terrible. And you see that happen. And you got to, tell your tenants that it's not acceptable. So the common areas like the bathroom and the kitchen, you really have to be on top of it to make sure that it's looked after, and we've written a whole chapter on looking after tenants in our book. And we always say, tenants are gold. You got to look after them. They got to look after your properties at the end of the day.
Okay, so the third one we're going to talk about is rent to own. This gentleman here, he was very successful with his rent to owns. His latest one was in Cochrane. He had an American client come up who had no credit, so he put him in a rent to own. And one thing that he is kicking himself for is at the end of the rent to own, he had a contracted price to sell to the tenant, and because the market moved so much, he was kicking himself that he didn't put it higher.
Yeah, so rent to owns could be a little, and they sound great. They are great. Don't get me wrong. So the best thing about, for people that don't understand what a rent to own is, here's quick 2 minutes on it. So a rent to own is you're renting to a tenant that is going to have an agreed set price at the end of the lease to buy the property off you. They will pay you a deposit. A deposit could be anywhere from $2,000. We've seen up to $45,000. We were doing rent to owns or lease options. Lease options are basically the same thing. Tim and I have done over 110 lease options to date. and we were charging $45,000 deposit on each lease option. Huge, absolutely huge, okay? What happens normally at the end of the rent to own, the renter is paying monthly rent, and then they have rent credits above that rent. Rent credits could be $500. So if the rent's $2,000, it's $2,500, but $500 of that goes towards two ways of doing it. It could go towards in a different bank account, which we like to do. So then the tenant is basically building up their deposit, or most rent-to-own people deduct it off the set purchase price at the end. So if there's $10,000, $20,000 of rent credits at the end, and the end price is $380,000, those rent credits will come off. Now, the key to rent-to-own is making sure that you're working with the mortgage broker that is working with them to build their credit up. And this is a very popular system right now because there's so many new to Canada people. I was new to Canada once. When I moved here, I bought 6 houses straight away when I moved here from Australia. But I had to do joint ventures because I had no credit. I didn't go do rent to own. I just bought 6 houses, right? This is taking it to the next level where people need help. They want to rent, but they don't want to throw their money away. They want to have the option to buy. We believe this is coming back because people need help out there. They might not have the deposit. They may not have the qualifying ability, but they can definitely do a rent to own. The problem with rent to own that we've seen over the years is that some people prey on the client never getting financing. And unfortunately for the client / tenant, or they call them tenant buyers, the tenant buyer loses all of their deposit and then they lose all of their rent credits. And it could be $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And I could tell you it gets nasty, okay? Or it could get nasty once they understand that. So you got to make sure, question in the room? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no worries. So the question for people at home was the relationship with the tenant and the mortgage broker. So I could tell you, for example, we'll pick on this client right here. We actually put the deal together. So the funny thing about the house in Cochrane is that you go shopping with the person buying the property, but you go shopping with the tenant buyers, the rent-to-own people. So you're going shopping with everybody. And we're just talking to Mark about this. So these people had 5 dogs or something. 5 dogs? Yeah. They had 5 dogs, right? And we bought up in what's up in
Bow Ridge.
Bow Ridge up in Cochrane. They wanted to live up there because the reserve is across the road and they could let the dogs run. And no one's renting to 5 dogs, right? We know we're telling our clients you're not doing this, but on a rent to own, you may do something different.
Yeah, and the thing is, because they have a vested interest in closing on the house at the end of the term, they're going to look after it a little better than, say, just a regular tenant with 5 dogs.
Yeah.
So they did look after the house very, very well.
So the wife was a psychologist and he was a BMW mechanic. There's a BMW dealership up in the Northwest there. And so they were coming here from the States. They had secured jobs. They just didn't have credit. So they needed time to build that up and build up their deposit. And so as soon as that happened, before we bought the property for them, they paid a $20,000 deposit. They met with our mortgage broker, and our mortgage broker basically financed them, pre-financed them 3 years down the road. He made sure that, yes, if they followed this, they saved up this amount of money with the rent credits, with their current jobs, 3 years down the road, they will be able to qualify. So we did a 3-year term, $20,000 down, $500 per month. Our client, Mark here, what did he get? He got the set price at the end. We bought the property for $380,000. Okay, we sold it for $425,000. They couldn't close in 3 years. Something happened. They didn't have enough money. They still had to basically come up with the deposit, the 5% down on top of their rent credits in this case, right? So it makes it a little bit harder. Couldn't qualify at year 3. Mark was happy to extend to year 4. He got another year of mortgage pay down, but he got no growth. And guess what happened in year 4? The property went up 50 grand. So he sold it for $425,000, but it was worth something like $450,000, $460,000. So he left money on the table. But this guy here, I could tell you, he's too nice of a guy. And we told him not to do it. We actually said, don't do it, right? At that time, because the market's on an upswing, right? The market's on an upswing right now. if you're going to do it, you have to be okay with your set price. So we want to really stress that, that whatever set price you have, you're cool with it, and that's what it might go for. And your best case could be that you keep the 20 grand and you keep 4 years of $500 per month, right? And you get the property back, and the property's worth even more. That's your best case, right? But at the end, Mark didn't care anyway, right?
Yeah, Mark got into it because he wanted to help them out. He wanted to try out the strategy and help someone out to get into a home. And it worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out successfully for the people who bought the house. It worked out successfully for him. He made some money on it. He didn't make as much money as if he had held it long term, but to him, he just took that money from the sale and went and bought another house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he did a JV after that. And he came back to do another rent-to-own. We said, no, don't do this rent-to-own, do a JV. And guess what? He bought a house, a beautiful one in Huntington Hills, and he bought low 4s, and that thing would be over 6 right now.
Yeah.
Question?
Yeah, I was just curious about how, how do you know, like, that's gonna happen? Like you said, sometimes it gets really nasty when you do a rental. Like, is there any indicators or anything that?
Well, that's why we want them working, the tenants working with a mortgage broker all along. I mean, it's actually work on the mortgage broker's part. Some of them won't do it. You know, they just want to write the mortgage and then move on to the next mortgage, the next mortgage. Some of them will work with those tenants for the long term, so that they don't go and buy a boat or, you know, blow a credit card somewhere, and then they can't qualify at the end of the term.
95%. So the question is, how do you not get to that end result? We can tell you the stats are roughly 90% of rent-to-owns do not work out, because these people normally don't pull their credit together, even though you're working with a credit specialist. I mean, we work with a guy that wrote a book on credit, right? So we've seen it all. And so Tim and I, like even with the lease options, so the lease options is that, you know, we can buy it at the end of the day. Even those lease options, the set price. So the set price might not get there. That's the whole key in all of this. I mean, the investor normally doesn't want the set price to get there, so it comes back to them and they keep all the money. So the set price has to be realistic, first of all. And some rent-to-own investors take advantage of the tenant buyer from day one.
Yeah, they're interested in the rent credits.
They're interested in the initial deposit and the rent credits, and then hoping they get the property back and they just repeat it. Now, it is a great way for investors out there to recoup most of their deposit. It is a great way to cash flow handsomely. But if you're not an honest person, Tim and I have been doing this for investing in real estate over 20 years. And we've I can't even mention the groups right now that we work for. You would have read some of their books. One of them was a president. Like, we will work for some of the biggest investment groups coming into town. And to be honest, people fall for the quick money, and the people that don't do right by each other or be honest, and that's why we lead with people being honest with us, with what they're doing, who they are, and what we do. We don't hold anything back, right? And we find those people that aren't honest, they don't go very far.
No, and the worst case is the tenants can get really, really upset because they've lost all those rent credits, they've lost their deposit, and they might take it out on the house. And that's what you don't want to see, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next one, the BRRRR strategy: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat.
Yeah, we love this strategy. We got to tell you, this is the best strategy for investors. This is what everybody should be doing. Even if you need to create more income for yourselves, there's many ways to create income. One is the buy. What did we just do? Buy and rent. Rent-own. One is lease options. Another one would be wholesaling. Another one would be Airbnb sublets. Airbnb sublets is when you don't own the property, but you rent it and you put it on Airbnb, and you there's a latecomer. You put it on Airbnb and you just rent it out, and you actually don't own the property. We've got clients doing that. But the BRRRR strategy is the best of them all, because you're using refinance dollars. You're getting your seed capital back. You're buying the property. You're renovating. You could be adding a suite. You're renting it out. You're refinancing and repeating it. Now, as we said, in real estate, this magic thing happens every single few years, where you just get this magic growth. right? And the market does its thing. And you get to use that equity to keep growing yourself. That is the best way to keep growing your portfolio. And it is also the best way to live the life you deserve. Like Tim and I, we used to start off with this, with our sessions back in the day, where life's too short, and inflation has gone up, interest rates have gone up, insurance has gone up, the cost of steaks have gone up. I used to eat steaks way more than I used to do now, Tim. But anyway, you know what? If you know me, like I like nice things, so does Tim, but real estate can really give you the lifestyle that you want. And if that's going on holidays or owning nicer things, real estate can definitely do that, but it's not a race. It's buying a property, taking action. That's the first thing. Working with the right team that have your back, and then not screwing people over. Basically, just doing the right thing, and trying to help people out. And real estate, we have seen tremendous things. And the young kids today, Tim, are way ahead of Tim and I back in the day. Tim and I were. I could tell you, we started investing in the days where you could just assume mortgages. You could still do that, it's called agreement for sales. But Tim and I were buying everything. We didn't care what we were buying. Tim, even going even further to that, we didn't even care what price we were buying them at. People get so stuck at the prices. We just can't believe people get sometimes stuck. I mean, we do cut people off at certain prices, but we didn't care if we paid 10, 15 grand more for a property. If the numbers worked, if they worked, we didn't even care. And we bought so many that we didn't even know what to do with them at the end of the day, and the market collapsed. Okay, so we learned the hard way. But real estate, you take action, even if you pay a little bit more right now in this market. I'm not saying 100 grand more, a little bit more. It's irrelevant. I know we always say make money on the way in, but if the numbers work, for example, Cole's on the call tonight. Cole can tell you we went into multiple offers on his property in Bowness, right? And I think, we don't know, we paid between $10,000 and $3,000 more than the other bidder. But we don't even care because we know we can knock that property down one day and profit probably $100,000 per unit. That's $400,000 down the road. So spending $7,000 or $10,000 more today, when the numbers work and we're comfortable with those numbers, with what we're going to do, he's taken action, and now he stands to make those profits.
So back to the BRRRR strategy here. The gentleman in the picture there, Graham, he is on his third one in condos. You don't necessarily have to go and do the classic BRRRR strategy, go buy some rundown property in the Northeast somewhere, renovate it, put some tenants in it, then refinance it. You can do it in condos in this market. He's actually got 3 in the same building in Arbor Lake. Picked him up for cheap. It was right around 400,000. No, it was 300,000, right? And then he did a little bit of a reno in them. With condos, you don't have to renovate the outside. It's just the inside you got to do. So his rehab costs were very, very small. And then he put the tenants in there. He got an appraiser in there. Well, the bank sent an appraiser in there when he was going to refinance. And he made roughly 80 grand on each unit.
Each one, yeah. And he's actually living mortgage free on, he upgraded his condo to the penthouse in the building. He's the mayor of this little condo complex up in Arbor Lake, and he's got a bunch of units in there. He's done the BRRRR on every single one, and he's living for free. So going to get there, and he's been working with us for 3-4 years.
Yep.
3-4 years. Is it possible? And he's done it in, recent times. So it's definitely, if you were going to do the BRRRR today, we would definitely recommend doing it on older townhouses. We definitely see the value in older townhouses right now. Tim, what age would they be? You've been going to see them
30 years old.
30 years old. You just want to make sure they got good size. If they have 2 bathrooms, that's a bonus. Definitely 2 bedrooms. If they got the basement there, some of these don't have basements, and if they got parking, that's even better. But we see tremendous value in these townhouses and in the older condos downtown. The older condos, so a brand new townhouse, we're listing 10 of them next week in Okotoks. They're starting at 550,000. So that's what a brand new townhouse looks like. Older townhouses, you can get them for, well, you've missed out on a bunch, right?
Yeah. Low threes.
Low threes. Older condos, they're still selling for around 250. The older condos, 250, 260, 1 bedroom, 2 bathroom. If you find 2 bedroom, they're more like 300. We can tell you that brand new condos, same square footage, same specs, are starting at 700,000. So massive, massive difference between old and new. And there's tremendous value to go there and do the BRRRR, either flipping. We've got clients flipping right now. You could flip or you could do the BRRRR and hold on to it, either or. You just got to make sure the condo fees are.
Yeah, you got to make sure that the condo corporation is in good shape. That's the key when you're buying the condo, whether it's a townhouse or a standard condominium. Get your condominium document review done and make sure the corporation is in good shape. So you can do this BRRRR and the next buyer is not inheriting these huge problems with the building itself.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to speed through this. I know we're going a little bit over. We've got 8 minutes left. This is our favorite line in investing in real estate. We don't care where you are living. We don't care exactly where you're living, what you're buying, but if you're not cash flowing, you're not trying. We were told this a while ago from a guy that had 17, one of our clients had 17 Airbnbs. He was making something like $47,000 a month or something crazy, or bringing in $47,000 a month. Right? So it was just ridiculous. And he didn't even own most of these properties. I don't think he owned any, Tim.
No.
Anyway, so the guy's a legend. Some people just take off and run with these concepts. But anyway, just getting back to it, if you're not cash flowing, you're not trying. You could rent out a garage for 300, double. For a double, 200, and I think, Tim, these numbers are low.
They are low on the garages.
Parking pad 60 to 100, rent out rooms $1,000, 1,200, basement suites 1,200, 1,600. Main floor suites are going anywhere up to 2,600. 2-story homes with suites with garages 2,600. I've even seen way up there like 3,000, 3,500. Airbnb question? Yep. Yep. Yes. Yes. Okay, so the carriage suite or the bungalow? Okay. So do they get a parking spot in the garage in one of the garages? Because we just had someone build a triple. So the question is a bungalow with the carriage suite, and there's one going up on both.
Carriage suite over the garage, or is it just a backyard suite?
It's
Over the garage. Okay.
Okay, so carriage suites are big, and we get this question all the time.
You'll live in the carriage suite.
With one of the spots in the garage? Yeah, you're still getting.
Depending on the neighborhood,
Yeah.
depending on the.
Yeah. Well, you're still getting like 2,500 for rent off a bungalow. If it's what I would do with the rezoning, I would have a suited bungalow, legalize it, and have a carriage suite as well. You're going to be able to do that very soon. They're doing it in Edmonton. They're doing it in Hamilton. It's in council right now. It's coming. But the question is, how much would the bungalow rent for on average right now if it was updated and it was clean and it was good and it was in a good neighborhood? Even if it was in Huntington Hills with no garage, just a parking pad, it should be around 2,500. That's good neighborhood. Could be even more. And then a carriage
If it's
suite.
inner city-ish, it could be 3,000 plus.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it's a carriage suite, we just got a quote for a carriage suite. It was $300,000. This was for a triple car garage and a 1-bedroom suite. Now, when you have a triple, your square footage goes up to about 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. This thing actually had a deck off the side for the people in the carriage suite. Tim and I have seen beautiful carriage suites. Now, should you go and do that? We get this question all the time. You're spending $300,000 to generate maybe $1,600 in rent per month. You just have to calculate that. What we would rather you do is do mortgage plus improvements, which our clients are doing, or use the equity in that home. You know, if that rental property is paid down, you bump it back up and use those funds within the property, not your funds. Use the property's funds to make that property, you know, basically have a carriage suite. But a triple car garage with a full carriage suite, 1 bedroom, that's laundry, kitchen, bathroom, living area. They're roughly going right now for $300,000 to be built. Okay, so we just want to stress that. Is it worth sometimes putting in? People are doing it.
People are doing it.
People doing it, and people are doing exactly that. They're moving out of the house, putting the carriage suite in. They're downsizing into the carriage suite, and maybe the kids get the house. I don't know, or they rent the house out as an executive rental. It's going to be pretty crazy times coming up.
Yeah, if you go in Garrison Woods, some of those big homes that are going in with the carriage suites, they're all 1.5 million to buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
So people use them for their nannies or college students or whatever. It's just a different classification of property because the prices get so high.
Yeah, there's one happening on Bow Trail right now, and the carriage suite, when you look at it, when you're driving up Bow Trail, before you get up to Sarcee, look on your left, and the carriage suite, it actually looks like another house. The way they've designed it, it looks like two houses on the same lot. So that's what's going on. Getting back to, if you're not cash flowing, you're not trying, Airbnb, it is a great way to make extra income. It does take more management. You can hire that management out. We always say bank on, depending on your property, but you have to buy right. We have to stress that. You have to buy near a hospital. That they're the best, near the hospitals, near universities, just in different pockets of the city do very, very well. You have to understand where you're buying. Don't be downtown where there's 60 other Airbnbs on the market that night. You're not going to be getting your 23, 24 nights per month rented out. That's our number we strive for. And you have to get that right. And you don't have to buy a property to do Airbnb. You shouldn't if you're just getting into it.
Yeah, we do a whole seminar on Airbnb arbitrage, which is massive in some cities. The best places to buy Airbnbs are in vacation places, but you can do it here in Calgary. Like Azad said, you need to pick the right location.
We got clients in Canmore. They're making an absolute killing, $90,000 a year on Airbnbs. And this guy doesn't even work, Tim. He rides his mountain bike through the trails in Canmore. Anyway, yes, question.
Are you finding that a lot of condos now are cracking down on Airbnbs?
Yeah, the question is, are we finding that condos are cracking down on Airbnbs? Definitely, yes. There are condo buildings that will not allow you to do Airbnbs. In BC, they've already ruled that out. So is it coming here? You know what? There's always different ways to invest. People are going to, it's like this GST, the capital gains tax. People are going to be creative. They're going to find out different ways to actually run an Airbnb or, slim down those capital gains on selling property. So there's different ways and different investors. We see it all because we've been in the business. We've got, close to 6,000 or over 6,000 investors that we kind of have either worked with or educated over the years. And we see all sorts of crazy stuff. So the market's always changing, and you know what? Governments can get in and get out, and things do change as well.
But there are some developments that are purpose-built to allow Airbnbs. Down near the hospital, the South Campus, there are some buildings, townhouse complexes in Seaton, where they're purpose-built to allow Airbnb. We had a client that had one of the main floors, so they're stacked townhouses. There's a main floor suite, or maybe even below grade, and then there's an upper townhouse. That whole development allows Airbnb, so probably half of them have Airbnbs, and it's a couple of blocks from the hospital. So you've got visiting doctors, you've got people who are, they might have relatives in the hospital and they want to stay in the Airbnb to be close to them. It's allowed in their condominium corporation documents. You really have to search that out building by building when you're buying. And it's uncovered when you do the condominium document review.
Blaine, I'm going to get to your question just quickly. But Tim, the last one here, you got executive furnished rentals. You know what? The executive furnished rentals, short-term rentals, 3, 6 months, 9 months, even a year. The rents are crazy. And guess what? The corps downtown, like Suncor, a lot of the other Synovus, a lot of oil companies are bringing in workers again, executive workers that they will just rent out executive rental apartments. And the rents for a 2-bedroom apartment might be 22, 24 on a regular, no furniture. If it's furnished, and I'm talking just furniture from Wayfair, IKEA, Amazon. I'm not talking anything crazy. Like we're furnishing apartments for $7,000 to $10,000. Those things can rent for $3,500 a month. Like that's serious cash flow. And you know what? That furniture you can use later on. So that is on average $3,500 for a furnished rental, and they're in demand, like student rentals. Blaine, one of our crew investors, just has a question. How much does it cost for a document review cost? If we are buying a condo for a client, We are always doing the document review. We will never buy anybody a condo unconditional unless we just purchased in that building or we know the realtor who just purchased in that building for their client. The reason being is when you buy a condo, you're buying into a corporation. Okay. It's like going on those timeshares when you're down in the Dominican or Cuba or wherever you go, right? I've been to those presentations and I'm kind of sitting there thinking, well, is the Malia Group really going to be great at hotel management in 10 years' time? Why would I buy a timeshare off you guys? First of all, I'd rather go to different places, but it's the same thing. You're buying into a corporation. And we've seen condo boards mismanage condos. Like we've seen it time and time again. And if you buy into that and there's not enough reserve fund or the maintenance schedule isn't properly done when the roof will be redone or windows will be redone or siding, that could cost you heavily down the road. So we're always wanting to do that. How much does it cost, Tim? You just found a cheaper guy. We were using Nina for many years.
Yeah, so it'll cost anywhere from $300 to $500 to do your condo document review.
Yeah, and it's a must. It's a must. Some we do have clients that do it themselves, but
Or you can get your lawyer to do it if
yeah.
your lawyer wants to do it.
they're
But
too busy.
either way, get it reviewed because you don't want these special assessments to show up a month after you took possession, and then all of a sudden you're on the hook for 10 grand.
Okay, we're going over. Let's keep going. Okay. Next thing here, we always promise you a free giveaway. This is our ebook. It's online. Go to crewinvesting.com. It's a 20-25 minute read, but it goes through the core fundamentals of investing in real estate. It goes through those graphs you've seen tonight. Those 3 or 4 graphs changed our lives, and it's in this book. How did it change our lives? We've seen the growth of 3.5%. We're not even talking about 3.5% in Calgary right now. We're talking 19% on townhouses, okay? But that 3.5% growth on those charts changed our lives because we knew if we had 5 properties, back then we're buying them at $400K each, we would have $2 million worth of real estate. And the next slide showed us that that $2 million would be paid off. We could tell you that that was going to do better than any RRSP that you could possibly get out there on the market. And we knew that real estate was the answer to us. And then this book goes through how we got into what we're doing and how you can too. The next book will cost you, it costs, I think it's still $17. It might be $20, but I think it's $17. We do ship it out and you buy it online. It's a physical book. You can see all of a bunch of our clients on the front of it. We put them on there for a reason so you could see what they've done in the book and so you can see how you can repeat it. It goes into depth on doing things like joint ventures or raising capital or using hard money, flipping homes. It goes into many, many different strategies that our clients have succeeded and not succeeded with. So you can work out.
Yeah, and it's got actual stories and interviews with our clients who've done these different strategies. So we're not just blowing our own horns and saying this is what we've done, this is how much real estate we own. No, this is from our client's perspective. We tell what they've done and shown the success that they have.
Yeah, so we love it and we're getting great feedback from our clients. The next thing, this is not mandatory to work with us. We need to stress this. You can manage your properties on your own. We do offer a $97 membership where it includes your property management in there. It also gives you over 100 hours of content that you can learn from at your own speed. It comes with all of our contracts, even the JV contract, Tim. That JV contract would be probably $550 worth of value. If you were to go to a lawyer, it's got all of our leases. It's got our move-in inspection. It's got
our full landlord kit, which is our property management training system that we teach every one of our clients after they purchase a rental property. We teach them how to get their property rented, how to keep it rented. We've got all the forms and all that. You can save yourself roughly $5,000 a year on management fees by managing your own property using our system.
Yeah, if that's a suited property, that's probably what you would pay. So we do that. We didn't want to make money off this course. We wanted to educate people and turn you guys into the experts. So you do go to work tomorrow and attract new partners and get into the game. It's as simple as that. So where do you go from here? We will be doing another session in 2 weeks. We're very, very excited about this. It's all about making a profit in a soaring market. And we believe everybody should be doing this. And I was doing this, Tim, back in the day, a lot of it, and that's buying pre-construction. So we've teamed up with some developers out in Okotoks. Okotoks has a shortage of rental properties right now. And there's some areas in Okotoks that are up and coming. We always talk about this. We're very, very excited about meeting these developers. And we're giving you the opportunity to buy pre-construction, put a deposit down, and then flip it out once the property is built. And there's tremendous profits to be made from that. And we're going to go over the other aspects of investing and where you can make money in this current market in 2 weeks' time. If you're thinking about investing in real estate, simply send us an email. Please don't text or call. It'll take us a while to get back to you, but just send an email and we will get to you. We're happy to have a one-on-one meeting with you by Zoom or in person in our boardroom and work out how we can help you.
So that's it for
That's
this
it.
week's seminar.
We're sticking around for questions. We're past the time. Thank you guys for coming. We had a big turnout tonight. We have to say thank you. We didn't expect this. We actually thought we might have been a couple of people because it's the weather.
Yeah, pre-COVID, we used to get up to 100 people in the room. And
Yeah.
then COVID hit, we went online. We finally go back to these hybrid sessions and it's starting to build again. So we're getting excited about it.
Yeah. Yes.
So you said 2 weeks from the 21st.
Yeah, it's always on a Tuesday, and I think it will be the 21st. Same place, same time. Yeah. Okay, thank you, everybody out there. We'll see you soon. Okay, thank you, guys.